before I get into the next round of stuff, let's take a few minutes, questions that you folks might have. Yeah?
Is the recent leaked copy of Wolverine a representation of the draft pre-major reshoots? Or
Yes, that's what I was told. They said it was the pre-major reshoots. I didn't watch it just because I get in trouble getting near that stuff. Yeah?
Did you find any good reviews on Dragon Ball Z?
You would ask me that. Okay, here's the story. Movie Hole, which is one of the big sites out of Australia. Clint and I have been friends for ages. He's the editor who runs it. They screen a lot of the stuff first in Australia because they have a lot of the studios down there. They have like huge production film studios and they use it as a test market. Apparently the reaction was so bad they stopped and canceled all press screenings. We were told, we got a press release basically saying the release date has been changed from this date to this. It will not screen for the press. It is supposed to be god-awful bad to the point where people were walking out of the studio on it. So, now remember this, they wouldn't screen Street Fighter Chun-Li for the press, but they didn't put out a release saying, you know what, we're not going to screen it. So, yeah, apparently it's awful. Yes?
A couple more questions. One, I was going to ask you, you were talking about the X-Men sequels. I heard Magneto got put on hold and they were looking at X-Men First Class.
Yes, that was one of the rumors they were looking at.
But it's not necessarily the original class, but a new comic that's out, First Class or something like that. The other thing I was going to ask you, I heard that Castlevania got put on hold by the director there.
Right, yes, it's basically still around as an idea, but when, you're right, the rule of thumb I always have is you announce the film, you cast the film, you put it in pre-production, you film it. Well, now we get the situation where it's on the release charts, but there's no movement. So yeah, exactly right. Now, that being said, if they have a script, which everything I'm told is they do, they could simply say, hey, it's on, start casting, and within 3 months they're filming. But yeah, you're right. And it's, bad economy. You're going to put $100 million into something you're not sure it's going to sell. Absolutely. Anything else? Yeah.
Oh, I have a question about Ghostbusters 3. I didn't really quite understand clarification. There was a rumor for a while about Paul Rudd and Seth Rogen being a part of the new group that they tried to escort into.
That's the rumor. Seth Rogen, I keep hearing. I hadn't heard Rudd up until recently, and I heard Michael Cera, but at this point, Seth is the one that keeps coming up all the time.
Yeah, I heard him on Slash Film say he never heard of anything about that. It's not like a horrible idea. And what do you know about that?
All I know is that right now the film's going, they are going to introduce a new cast of Ghostbusters, and what we're told is that mostly the reason Rogen came out was that Ghostbusters was a Sony/Columbia film. Well, recently Rogen's, Pineapple Express, some of his work. So now, he's the hot guy. He's done work with them. So his name was constantly kicked around the top of the list. Rudd and him are very hot right now, so that's kind of where that is. But in terms of casting, they don't have it done. I think right now it's a simple case of this is what the studio would like, possibly this is what the fans would like, and so it's just a matter of seeing if they can make it happen from a business sense. Yeah.
I didn't understand with Ghostbusters 3. Are you saying it's going to be live action?
In live action, yes. Yeah.
Do you have any idea about the Avengers timeline movie?
Not sure yet. That's still basically what I heard was that the next film, Iron Man 2, and then Iron Man 3 will be the first Avengers film.
Isn't there? What about the first Avenger and possible the original Avengers film?
Nothing yet on that. Nothing yet. No, I did hear this. There were some rumors going around about Captain America casting, and I'm shuddering to say the least. The names that I heard were Matthew McConaughey or Will Smith. And that was my reaction. I'm hoping that is just idle fan speculation. One thing that I know that is not speculation, you guys remember Heavy Metal?
Yeah.
And when Kenny had his Heavy Metal-induced trip on South Park recently, apparently they were going to redo it. May even be 3D. And some of them, you know what I'm saying, guys, coming at you. Just leave it like that. Madagascar 3, Pirates of the Caribbean 4 is the planning stages now. Apparently, Kira and Orlando won't be back, but Johnny will, and apparently it's kind of, I've been told, think of a Captain Nemo meets Captain Jack Sparrow type thing, maybe a little more sci-fi adventure related. Bad Boys 3, the Hobbit's in the work. It's going to be split into 2 films. Cars 2 is being done, and Spider-Man 5 is in the works. So now we'll get, yes? Oh yeah. Basically, Peter Jackson was out, and apparently he's back in, but more in a producer advisorial role right now. It is 2 films, apparently about 3 hours each is what they're looking at. I heard Guillermo del Toro was one of the names that I've heard repeatedly attached to it. No casting or anything like that at the moment, so kind of you will see it in, at this point, 2011 is what the planned release date is. Yes?
What's happening with Cabin in the Woods?
Not yet, no. Slow. Developmental hell, it starts and stops all the time. So question in the back there?
Yeah, I was going to ask if you had info on what Disney 2D animation is doing.
Well, what they told me was that everything is basically going to be 3D now, but there'll be a 2D, 3D option. There was like a, not a Tarzan film, but they were just they were looking at various things. A lot of sequels right now, a few original titles, and right now they're having that big debate as to what comes to 3D, what comes to DVD, what comes out standard. So unfortunately I can't give you a firm timeline because they've only talked about a couple things, but they are committing to 3D, I can tell you that. They said all of their major releases are scheduled to have a 3D option right now. Yes?
What do you know about John Carter and Mars?
Developmental hell. That's been spinning around forever, unfortunately. Yes?
Has Damon Lindelof been locked down to pen the Star Trek sequel for sure? And would it come at a time where it would conflict with him writing Lost?
That's the million-dollar question. Right now, apparently, they just have it as a, they've approached him as of last week and said start planning it, but in terms of contracts or anything, but I don't think it would conflict, no. Because they have to finish up this year and they have to finish next year. We got a 5-minute warning, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the rumors really quick and then just bring the questions over to the table. We'll need a couple minutes to get everything up, and I've got a lot of good stuff to give you. So, Sherwood Schwartz apparently is looking to redo Gilligan's Island with Michael Cera. They are still contemplating an Escape from New York sequel. Remake. Justice League of America is in developmental hell for all intents and purposes, scrapped right now. Fantastic Voyage, where remember they shrunk the people in the sub, they're considering redoing that. Logan's Run, it's been in the planning stages for years. Dark Tower is coming. Harold and Kumar 3. A remake of Red Dawn, where I hear the Reds are Chinese this time out. Yeah, that's going to go over well. School of Rock 2. Lost Planet. Hellboy 3. National Treasures. And I wanted to make sure I got this one in, so we'll definitely talk about this. Blade Runner 2. Now, very extreme long shot at this point. Let me tell you exactly the word. In 2008, Eagle-Eyed co-writer, remember Eagle-Eye with Shia LaBeouf. And by the way, they've already agreed to another Transformers. The third one's already in the pre-planning stage. So, anyway. Eagle-Eye co-writer Travis Wright was writing a screenplay for a Blade Runner sequel. Wright worked with one of the original producers, Bud York, for several years on the projects with his colleague John Glenn. Glenn left the film by 2008, stating the script explores the nature of the off-world colonies as well as what happens to the Tyrell Corporation and its founder's death. As of September 2008, rumor has it, and word was that Travis Wright has still continued to work on the script and will eventually start shopping it to the studios for interest in sequels, i.e. Warner Brothers having the right to it. Remakes, Last Starfighter, Conan 3, either remake or sequel. Death Wish with Sylvester Stallone, taking on the Charles Bronson character. The popular graphic novel Zombies of Mass Destruction, it's coming. Jack Ryan 5, which is the clear and present danger. Ben Stiller, you're going to see him at night at the museum. By the way, great move. The original plan was to open it against Terminator. He's back with a movie called Little Fockers, which is Meet the Parents 3. Stallone is not only polishing off another Rambo film, he apparently has got a new cliffhanger, and the final thing we'll leave you with, V, the Second Generation. Yeah.